Hello. I invite you to continue our series of calm reflections on the book Our Home by André Luiz. A spiritual account of life after death, of responsibility for growth, and of learning how to belong. Chapter 17 is titled In Lísias' Home. This is a chapter that appears simple and quiet, without drama, without shock. And yet, it is extraordinarily important. For it is here that André Luiz experiences something for the first time. Something that may be called spiritual everyday life. Not as a patient, not as a distant observer, but as someone who truly begins to belong. Not long after his mother's visit, André is summoned by Minister Clarencio. This time not for instruction, not for correction, but for permission. Clarencio informs him that his treatment has been completed, and that the time has come for observation, learning, and preparation for future service. André is granted access to selected ministries, the opportunity to become familiar with the structure of work, and to learn through attentive observation. This is not yet action. It is a stage of maturation. Clarencio reminds him that the time between incarnations is not a period of suspension, but a responsible time of growth. At this moment, a gesture appears that reveals the spiritual quality of relationships in our home. Lísias asks that André be allowed to live in his house during the period of study, not as an obligatory guest, but as a brother. And his mother, as he says, will receive him as a son. Clarencio agrees without hesitation, and speaks words that say much about the spiritual ethic of this community. Jesus rejoices whenever we welcome a friend into our hearts. André leaves the ministry filled with joy. Not a violent joy, but a quiet, stable one. A joy that brings the feeling of the beginning of a new life. Lísias' home reveals itself as a place of simplicity, harmony, and warmth. There is no luxury here, no distance. There is everyday life rooted in kindness. Lísias' mother, Laura, welcomes André without ceremony, without questions, without formality. "This house is your house," she says, and with one sentence, she restores within him a sense of belonging that he had been deprived of for so long. The interior of the house does not differ greatly from earthly homes. The furniture is simple, the space welcoming. Art and music have their place here, not as decoration, but as tools of inner harmony. There is even a harp, not an angelic symbol from imagination, but an instrument waiting for the spiritual hearing of those who are still learning to listen more deeply. This is a very subtle lesson, that the spiritual world does not depend on the wonder of forms, but on readiness of perception. André meets the members of the household, Lísias' sisters, the atmosphere of family community. He feels that for the first time since death, he is participating in ordinary life, not as a burden, not as a problem, but as someone truly welcome. And it is precisely then that he realizes something essential, that the organization of domestic life is also a form of spiritual service. The chapter concludes with a shared prayer, not solemn, Not theatrical, but quiet, natural. The family gathers together, and the music of twilight connects them with the spiritual center of the colony. André once again sees the image of the governing center, the blue heart, the light. But this time he experiences it differently. Not as a patient, not as a distant observer, but as someone who kneels inwardly in gratitude. Chapter 17 shows us very clearly that spiritual life is not composed solely of great revelations. It is made of homes, of relationships, of simple gestures of welcome. This is a chapter about learning how to live together, about hospitality as a form of love, about community that heals without words. And it leaves us with a question, quiet yet essential. Are we able to build such spaces, on earth and within the heart, where others can truly feel at home? In the next chapter, we will see how the experience of home begins to prepare André for the first steps of true service. The journey continues. See you soon.